So every morning I get newspapers delivered to my house, and I cruise around the television news and radio news operations to find out what happened when I was asleep. All right. So Paula Reed, you know Paula Reed? She is the White House correspondent for CBS News, and she's very anti-Trump, always has been. And she goes on today and says something that just stunned me about the investigation by the Justice Department. Roll it.
The Attorney General is urging prosecutors to look into allegations of fraud. But at this point, the Trump campaign has not provided any evidence of fraud. So the real impact of this memo is that it now allows the president to say the Justice Department is investigating. It allows him to continue to delay concession and undermine the trust in the outcome of this election.
Attorney General William Barr has given the president's unsubstantiated allegations of voter fraud a boost by allowing prosecutors to go around longstanding policies to investigate allegations of fraud.
Now, that is perhaps the dumbest and most biased report I've ever seen. So the woman is saying, quote, it allows him, President Trump, to continue to delay concession and undermine the trust and outcome of this election. Well, madam, the trust of the election is in question. The Georgia Secretary of State says so. Sworn affidavits from a number of states attest to that. Do you not know any of this? So the bottom line is that Ms. Reed doesn't care, nor do 90% of the corporate media. They don't want to investigate fraud in the election because Biden won, their guy won. It's like Hunter Biden. They don't want to find out what happened to Hunter Biden. And remember 4 years ago that Hillary Clinton and all these Democrats said that Trump was illegitimately elected. Remember that. And that was trumpeted as credible by CBS News and the others. That was credible, even though there was no evidence that he was an illegitimate president. None. All right. And then when they investigated him for 2 years, it came back. There wasn't any Russian interference that rose to the level of indicting President Trump and his campaign. So Paula Reed gets on, tells everybody, this is just phony garbage, this whole investigation. And it's just, Trump doesn't want to concede. Now, does Paula Reed really want to know what happened? No, she doesn't. So I used to work for CBS, as many of you know. All right, I worked for WCBS TV, local news at Channel 2, magnificent newsroom. Couldn't have been better. Then I worked for Rather, problems. But not like now. That never could have gotten on when Rather was in the chair. The editors would have said, nah, we may be sympathetic to Biden, but you got to let an investigation into allegations play out. Have to. And we have, now, would have CBS back then gone and tried to find out if there were fraud? I don't think so. But they wouldn't have done this. And I could be wrong about the question. Okay, so the announcement of an FBI investigation is pretty big. And I'll put it into some context in a moment. But the pundits on both the right and the left had this to say. Go.
What totalitarian regimes do and tyrants do is they decide what they want the legal result to be.
Exactly.
And then they work back from that and try to find evidence, try to make up evidence to lead to that conclusion.
You had several states, because of this reckless mail-in ballot scheme pushed by the left, pretend that it was okay to count ballots forever and a day after Election Day. That's not the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, Allison, I have to confess, I thought that Bill Barr had already dragged DOJ to rock bottom. Now we've found a new low.
For the folks that say, oh, voter fraud is a myth, I mean, that is ridiculous. Look, Lyndon Johnson won his first Senate race by stuffing the ballot box. John F. Kennedy arguably won his race by Cook County voter fraud in Illinois. And you don't even have to go back that far. Philadelphia, June 2020, they indicted a former judge for voter fraud. So this exists. It should be looked at.
All right, so you're making up your own mind about this, and you need to know that No one in the corporate media is trying to find out if the election was fixed. No one is trying to find out if Hunter Biden brought millions of dollars in and his father got a taste. No one. Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. As you all know, the dollar is at a 10-year low, and November could spell real trouble. That's why I recommend you consider physical gold and silver, and the only company I do business with in this area is American Hartford Gold. You can call them right now. Make sure you tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you a free gold coin on your first qualified order. Since I have been recommending American Hartford Gold, gold's up over 40%, silver over 60%. So please don't wait. Call them now. 877-444-GOLD Gold. 877-444-GOLD Gold, or text GOLD to 65532.